Okay, here's my weekly update from Westminster. Lots going on this week, so be very quick indeed. We had a letter back from the new Health Secretary, Michael Matheson, essentially telling us that we will not be getting funding for new GP services in South Edinburgh. We're 20,000 places short, and people can't get either registered or can't get appointments with our hard-working GP practices. So we'll be continuing the campaign. Please go onto my website and sign the petitions to try and get the Scottish Government to cough up the money that we need. I had the wonderful opportunity to open the Craigmillar Park Tennis and Padel Court on Saturday, which is an excellent resource for the community. If you want to try it, get along onto the website and book a slot for you to go in and try. This week we're presenting a Local Hero Award to the Waverley Inn in Southwest for all the wonderful community work that they've been doing locally. Some great new owners up there. If you do get a chance to go in and watch the football or grab a quick drink, please go in and say hi. Here at Westminster, of course, today we've got the final stages in the House of Commons of the immigration bill. They call it the illegal immigration bill. It's what the Conservatives want to do to try and, in their terms, stop the boats. It won't work. It's illegal. It's the third piece of legislation this year, and they're only bringing it back this week because there's local elections in England next week, and they think this is about vote rather than helping people cross the channel and give safe routes to the UK.
It's the third piece of legislation in a year and won't work, and we're seeing that it won't work. Hotel rooms are still being booked, costs are going up, illegal migration is still happening, people will probably still die in the channel, and that's why it's not going to work, because the government are going after votes rather than going after a resolution to the problem. So we've been vehemently against this piece of legislation. It's back this week, David. Let's just be clear to viewers watching this programme. It's back this week because the local elections in England are next Thursday, not because to stop people making that dangerous crossing in the channel. We all want to see those dangerous crossings stopped with safe routes, with the backlog of asylum applications taken away, and crucially, jailing the criminal gangs, which is what this piece of legislation misses.
Okay, we've also got the continuing crisis in the SNP. They are just about to lose their public money here at Westminster if they don't submit their audited accounts by the 31st of May. They don't have an auditor. We're trying to find ways of ensuring that Parliament can protect their staff, otherwise they will all be made redundant or not have the money to pay their wages come the 31st of May, and that's something we must stop.
And well, it's critical for governance and for transparency, and Drew does say that he's not involved in the process, but actually there's a lot of SNP staff who are paid for by this money that will not be paid come beyond the 31st of May, and I think Drew's primary concern needs to be to make sure that their wages are paid so they can pay their rent, their mortgages, and not end up at the food banks that we heard about at Prime Minister's question. That's the serious point here, and the spat between Stephen Flynn and Ian Blackford about whether or not they have auditors or not was so unseemly, forgetting about the human cost of this. There's also not just short money, which is the money government pays to opposition parties to run their affairs, but there's the money that IPSA, the Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority, that gives to every MP to run our own offices, of which the SNP take some of that money from all their MPs, pull that together into a central staffing resource. That's also at risk as well. So this is an incredibly serious situation, but it's really important to have audited accounts on time, as per the rules, for transparency and for governance purposes.
It sounds as though you are not convinced you'll hit that 31st of May deadline.
No, I just can't tell you because I'm not involved in those discussions. It's it's a matter for others in our group who are working on that at the moment in order to get that resolved. That's what they're absolutely focused on doing, and that's what I believe will happen at that time.
You've got responsibility as an employer to make sure it's happening. You can't just sit back and say...
You're trying to misrepresent me there, Ian. You're trying to misrepresent me there, Ian. I'm absolutely focused on working with the SNP group in order to make sure that we're giving everybody who needs the
but you've no information
to do that. Well, I'm not going to discuss internal SNP matters with you on the TV, and that's something.
Your leader, previous leaders, seem to be okay about discussing it in public. But
well, look, I'm not going to.
I just can't believe it's the Labour Party and Liberal Democrats defending your staff and the SNP group.
Well, no, you've tried to dress it that way, and we understand why you're doing that.
That's
but I think people will understand. Everybody in the SNP group is absolutely focused on making sure that this gets resolved. There are people who have been dedicated to doing that, and that's what they're doing at the moment in order to.
And of course, just after last week's update, Dominic Raab, the Deputy Prime Minister and Justice Secretary, was sacked for a bullying report. Well, he wasn't sacked, he resigned. The Prime Minister was too weak to sack him when they read the report, but Dominic Raab, the writing was on the wall. He wrote a rather sneering and snarling letter in response to him resigning. But look, when you're once a bully, always a bully. He's now gone, and that's Rishi Sunak lost 4 cabinet members since he became and promised to clean up politics last November. Oh, and don't forget, just as I remember, my e-magazine for April will be going to over 5,000 constituent email addresses in the next few days. If you want to receive it, ian.murray.mp@parliament.uk. Drop us a line to say you want to subscribe and we'll get it straight to your inbox. Lots going on here at Parliament, lots going on in the constituency. We'll speak again with an update next week.